Good morning, happy Friday, and welcome into the number one Group of Five college football podcast in the world. This is the Group of Five guys. We are the Group of Five guys, and our mission is to be the voice for the Group of Five football programs, the voice that the mainstream sports media absolutely refuses to be. We need your help to do that. We need you to hit the follow button on all the social media platforms at Group of Five guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcasts. Subscribe to the channel, leave a 5-star rating, leave a review. Most importantly, tell your family and friends all about us. Or you can download the Varsity app for free and listen to the show on there. On this episode, we got to talk about Texas State and Sam Houston. Big wins on Thursday night. We're going to preview these Friday night games. We're going to preview these Saturday night games. We're going to talk about plenty more, any transfer portal, conference realignment, NIL, any updates. Hope you enjoy the show. Have you had it from somebody born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana, at a tailgate? Doubt it.
I said Michael Pratt has got to show up and play, and boy did he. 394 yards, 4 touchdowns, 48 rushing yards on the ground, and another touchdown.
Projected getting drafted between the first and third round. Like, that's incredible.
That's
the wide receivers are absolutely stacked for the Group of Five.
Yeah, I really appreciate you do for the Group of Five programs, and I think it's great. I think we should get more of this. But you guys are on the forefront of this, and
so I'm thankful for this. I'm glad that you're talking about the Group of Five because I think they get overlooked.
But it's a ton of fun to watch a guy go to the NFL from a Nevada or a Colorado State or a Middle Tennessee or an App State, and fans follow that kid.
Good morning, Jeff Murphy. Happy Friday. I am reporting live from quite possibly the bougiest facility I've ever been to. I am on a members-only golf and beach resort island at the moment. I've never been to something like this. I'm a little uncomfortable, but we're having a good time. I can tell you that much. We are having a good time. I am tired. Forgot to bring my Deca Gray coffee on this trip, and the coffee that they've provided is like your hotel style coffee. Not going to do it. So I have ramped it up to a whole nother dimension of caffeine. And as you know, when you're on the beach, especially in memory of Tyler Tipton, you have to get the most cartoon character energy drink you can possibly find. So that's what I'm doing here at 6 a.m. on the East Coast, my friend.
Well, it's a good trip for you and the family. Definitely much needed. And, you just can't hide money, Sprouse. This thing is, we're trying to make this podcast and this venture go and be fully funded. Just glad to know that you just got the money to keep nice houses on private islands, my friend.
No, this is what happens, Jeff. What happens is they say the good Lord has a sense of humor. This is, you think you're doing all right. You make a couple of good paychecks and you start booking your whole year out and you book it out. And then God says, not so fast, my friend. How about a new radiator? Not so fast, my friend. How about a new AC for the house?
Is God Lee Corso? Is that what you're saying there?
Yeah, no. But we booked this a long time ago. It's actually a pretty cool place. It's up just north of like Hilton Head. It's called Fripp Island.
Nice.
And it's wild. I mean, you come over the bridge, there's deer. Like, this is an island. You know what I mean? We're surrounded by water and marsh. Like we're on water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's deer everywhere. Like,
interesting.
And not in a way where they're like just on the side of the road as you're driving in. They're like, I'll go take the golf cart out here when we're done with the show. And they'll be just like laying in people's front yards, just like look like pets,
Hope you brought your hunting license.
Really, yeah, really interesting. I don't think these folks would like that.
No,
I think they were already I think they already saw somebody under the age of 65 and were like, get the hell out of here. You got to have, like, not only like we're renting this place, this little condo, and then you got to have a membership card to shop at their stores. So it's like, I'm about to yesterday. We knew this was going to happen, but you got to take your one chance at forgiveness, of course, at first. So we went into this little breakfast shop yesterday morning and bought all kinds of breakfast sandwiches and coffees, had them already made. And then the woman was like, do you have your membership card? And I was like, no, we left it up at the room. And then she's like, it's absolutely mandatory to have that. And
Wow.
I was like, yeah, unfortunately for you, you've already made all these coffees
Yeah.
and you're not about to turn away my money right now. So that was our one time at that. But anyway, pretty cool. I wish I had time to play golf. Golf course looks incredible. There's about a 9 or 10 foot gator sitting on one of the greens yesterday. And this is South Carolina. You know what I mean? It's not Florida. And so I don't know. They got stickers all over the property saying, don't stand by any still water for the threat of gators. So gators and deer all over the place in this town.
I'll tell you what, that's probably why the gators are over there.
It is. Well, just
You
wait
got a
until
lot of-
some idiot releases a freaking pet python out here and it ruins the whole ecosystem like they did in Florida. But no, I was going to do the show from the balcony, but sun has not come up. Beautiful
Dark.
sunrise though from the balcony. I was gonna show the world here. But anyway, as always, this show is presented by Deca Gray Coffee Company. You guys make sure to visit decagray.com. Get you the Group of Five Guys Game Day Dark Roast. Saw some people on Twitter already posting about the Game Day Dark Roast for this weekend. Use our promo code GOFG for a 10% discount and free shipping. Do we have any updates? I think we have a 2-day window here where we don't have any new updates on red shirt people. Actually, we sure do. Ben Bell, did he play last night?
He did not play.
He did not play last night.
Not sure if there's an official decision by him made yet, but he did not play. I do know that. And it seems like Texas State is officially out of the Mountain West realignment talk, is what Don Coryell said, or at least that's the message that I saw on X. So, yeah, seems like Texas State is staying put for the time being until somebody else, I'm sure, wants to reach out. But and this is what I was saying the other day about it. Guys, let's just, look at all these deals in their totality. What is it going to cost you to get out? What is it going to cost you to get in? And then, as we talked about on Wednesday, the super league thing that's been proposed with relegation only for the Group of Five, like, there's really no point to jump around right now when obviously something big is coming down the pike. So it's like, stay put, keep your money where you're not having to shell out a bunch of money to leave a conference, and then 2 years later when revenue sharing gets in and all these things happen, there's another major shift that you have to do, that everyone has to do. So I think the play is stay put, build your brand, help build the conference that you're in, and make that conference the best Group of Five conference in the nation, and then just go from there.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then what else did we have? UTEP officially did go.
They did.
Or is going to the Mountain West. That one, to me, it makes a little more sense geographically and, just, I don't know, style culturally. Seems like it makes a little more sense to the Mountain West to me. But, it's neither here nor there. And, with Ben Bell, we've shared the statistic every offseason, right? When these guys start transferring and stuff, because this doesn't seem like it's an NIL scenario. This seems like I think I can go to a Power 4 school and build a better name for myself for the draft. But again, man, we talked about it on Wednesday. Like, you already got scouts talking about you, and so, and the statistics show that you're better off staying. I mean, maybe the sample size isn't big enough for these guys yet, but
I think
again, the NFL is going to find you, man.
Yeah, and I think it's the grass always looks greener, You know, there's always something bigger out there that this is what I need to do. When if you just look at it, I mean, the prime example is Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, there's no telling how much money Nick Saban in Alabama was offering him the year before to leave Toledo to go to Alabama. I mean, Saban said it on TV, and he decides to stay. Shout out to him. Balls out, has the film, has the tape, has the stats, has everything. Goes to the Senior Bowl, crushes, does it the right way, and he's a first-round draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, that is what you need to do. You need film. You need tape. If that's your ultimate goal. If your goal is to get to the NFL, that's what you got to do. Now, if it's not your goal and you just want a nice payday in college off of NIL, okay. I mean, that's your prerogative. I'm not going to knock you. And yeah, sit out and go transfer and make your money. But the odds, if the goal is the NFL, the ultimate goal, and that's where you're going to make your most money, then by all means.
Well, and the other part about that, Jeff, is what we've talked about as well, is that NIL money is not there either.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You saw the UNLV situation and whatever that was, but it's not just at the Group of Five. You saw USC. Everybody thought, with NIL was going to be one of the schools that was going to be able to do it. And even they had the guy leave because of a lack of NIL. And so it's everywhere. And again, I'm not condoning the coaches or the collectives promising these kids money, but at the same time, there's only so many times you give money to the guy at the gas station that has the same story every weekend.
Yeah.
You ever go to the gas station and they, my daughter's in the car 5 miles up the road. I just need $3 for gas. Buddy, how come you left your daughter in the car last week too? You know what I mean? There's only so many times you can get fooled by this promise. And yeah, that person's wrong. They're lying or they're misleading. But at the same time, can't be naive about it.
So I respect the guys with the signs that are like, homeless, just need cold beer.
Just want beer. Well, anyway, let's talk about some of these games from last night. You had Texas State, kind of looked like the Texas State we've been seeing last night against Troy. I know Troy got a bunch of injuries, young team, new staff, all that. But Texas State, to me, I still think that Sam Houston loss was a little bit fluky. I think the team that was up 22-0 or 39-21 is the real Texas State. And then I think they let their foot off the gas, had a couple bad bounces, lost momentum. And that's how you lose that game. But I think we saw the real Texas State last night against Troy.
Yeah, I think it was a combination because Troy, they got some guys now. They have some pieces, and I know they have some injuries, but I thought Kilcrease played relatively well. He's mobile enough, got away from a few rushes, got out and ran a little bit. Devontae Ross is as advertised. Kid's a great player. Landon Parker had a great night, and he's a big body kid. Went up, had a great catch for a touchdown. They just, to me, it was turnovers, killed them. Penalties, just like in bad, poor penalties. And it was like they'd have a penalty, and then Jordan McLeod throws a 51-yard touchdown when they should have gotten off the field and didn't. And then the other one was the big plays. They were giving up too many big plays on defense. And once you kind of get in that hole, a team like Texas State, they're just going to stay up on you. Credit to McLeod, credit to Hobart. I mean, it was Hobart, Wilson, and Williams. Those three, I mean, they all had touchdown passes. Those three on the outside, any one of them can go the distance, make a great catch. Like they are loaded on the outside. And when McLeod protects the ball, it's hard to beat them. He had a pick where he threw the ball and it bounced up in the air. I don't really credit that one. And then he continues to get it done with his legs too, outside of the pocket. I think there was twice that I was watching where any other quarterback that's not mobile that's a sack, but McLeod gets outside, breaks contain, and then runs for a big first down. Hate it for Troy, but they're going to be. You've kind of echoed this sentiment the last couple of weeks. Like they got to clean some stuff up, and I know Parker's said that too. They got to stop shooting themselves in the foot. I think in the long run, Troy's going to be fine. We knew it was going to be tough to rebuild. You're playing Texas State. Say what you want. You know, they lost to Sam Houston last week, but they're still a top team in this conference, and that showed out last night.
Yeah, a little bit. I talked about it on Wednesday. A little bit of a changing of the guard, right? Out in the Sun Belt West, Troy being so dominant over the last couple of years, and now Texas State seeming to be the favorite in the West. But I think you're right. I wanted to echo that. I had that in my notes. I thought Tucker Kilcrease played pretty well, and I think I don't know what the injury situations are for Goose Crowder in them, but I don't know. He might be the guy going forward. And then also interesting, Texas State still didn't really get Ishmael Mahdi going.
They didn't.
He got a bunch of carries, but you were talking about that on Wednesday too. He's so dynamic. They got to figure out a way to get him the ball in space and give him a chance, because he's that home run threat every time he touches the ball. But right now they haven't been able to break anything big with him.
Yeah, Torrance Burgess looked good last night, and I don't know. I remember this as a player. Like, you got a guy that at running back, that, man, he looks the part and he's good and he works hard. Like, he deserves to have the opportunity. It's almost like when they get in the game, the defense like keys on him, and then he goes out and they bring the second running back in, and all of a sudden there's like a massive hole that opens up, and you don't know if it's because, if it's just by chance that happened, or if like the defense kind of expects maybe it's going to be a pass, so they change their front. But there's a couple massive holes that Burgess ran through, and then did a good job making guys miss. Transfer from UTEP, I believe.
Yeah. Well, Texas State back on track.
Sure are.
So look for their fans to get back on board. They were ready to jump off the cliff after they lost that Sam Houston game. Speaking of Sam Houston, they went over to El Paso and took care of business. Now, Jeff, if I told you a final score of 41-21, would you believe me that there was 10 punts in the first half of that ball game?
Normally, no. But watching that game, I could be like, yeah.
How many 3 and outs? And that doesn't even count a couple of for it on fourth down and didn't get it. I mean, that first half was rough.
Yeah.
But Sam Houston ends up getting it done. It's been tough for UTEP. I still like Scotty Walden. I still like what they're building there. Going to get some momentum with the conference change for them. But shout out DJ McKinney at Sam Houston, 14 carries for 138, 2 touchdowns. Not a bad day at the office for a running back.
Not at all. And I want to give Hunter Watson a lot of credit. It's the first time this year that I've really watched him pretty much start to finish. He's a good player. He's very athletic. I almost think he throws it better on the run. But, man, he had a couple balls where he was rolling out and freaking threw dimes. No interceptions, very clean game by him. They run him a lot, quarterback power. They'll get a lead back. The running back will lead him out. And he's just overall, he impressed me. And I know it's UTEP, so I don't want to read too much in it. But, I mean, he played well against Texas State last week. So, Sam Houston, 5-1, 2-0 in the conference. And when you look at this team, it's funny. A year ago, we talked about this team is the best 0-6, 0-7. Every week, we're like, this is the best winless team in the country. And they were just showing pieces, and their defense was good. And they've carried it over this year. If you look at their schedule the rest of the way, they got Western Kentucky coming up next week. Get that at home. I mean, the rest of the conference looks very middle of the road. Then they get Liberty, the last game of the season, at home. So look out for the Bearcats, man. And then when you talk about UTEP, I thought their defense played very well last night. But when your offense can't move the ball at all, they're going to get tired. They're going to get worn down when they're on the field. And I wish I had the time of possession stat in front of me. I don't see it anywhere. I would bet that Sam Houston overwhelmingly had the time of possession out of 1. And then you couple that with the 2 picks. I know one was on kind of a trick play by UTEP, but when you can't move the ball, just even if you have a great defense, and we saw this with Miami of Ohio, there's not much that they can do. You got to be effective and be able to score. And if you can't, you're not going to win games. So I agree with you. I like Scotty Walden. It's going to take time. Not everyone's going to have the 1 year flip like GJ Kinney had. I think he's kind of an outlier. Just ride with him. Keep supporting that program. You're moving to the Mountain West. Sunball's an awesome venue. They'll hopefully get it going here soon.
Yeah, and we know this experience of being on the sideline and being players, but it almost never fails when you have a team that's not very successful, and you'll have a first half like that where the defense is holding them. You're going punt for punt, punt for punt, punt for punt. And then it seems like every time when you're a bad team, you finally get it going, and then the defense finally breaks. And that's what you have here. Or it's a matter of time, right? It's like the defense is holding, like, we better go score because we know this is not going to last. And it never fails like that. And then you get, punt, you get a turnover here or there. And that's what, I don't know if you said this on the air or you said this to me on the phone or we were just talking or what, but I think you said something the other day where you just said, if you don't turn the ball over and don't have drive killing penalties, you're going to be in any game, no matter what, no matter who you're playing, you're going to be at least in the game. And you see that. And that's where you get some of these blowouts that we see. That's where you get these teams that lose games that you don't think they should lose. And that's on the other side of the coin. That's when you get upsets, right? The team that isn't good, if they put together a game where they don't turn it over, don't make dumb penalties, and you're like, why are they even in this game? And it's like, well, they protected the ball. They stayed ahead of the chains. I mean, this is, I know this sounds football 101, but it's like the problem is that's what it always goes back to. And then, to go even further on it, you go watch a really good team or you go watch a really bad team, and it's the basic stuff, missed tackles. That's the next level, right? Control what you can control with penalties, turnovers. And then your next step is blocking and tackling. Are we missing blocks? Are we tackling? You miss a tackle and instead of 2nd and 10, now it's 2nd and 2. And, it's a recipe to lose. That's stuff. I don't think they teach that in Pop Warner anymore. But they ought to, if I ever coach my kids, at least what we're going to do. You know how in basketball, like if you have one of those hard ass coaches, like you wouldn't touch a basketball for like the first 2 weeks of practice, just doing defense and conditioning. I'm going to do that. Penalties and turnovers for about 2 weeks. And we'll probably win games.
I guarantee you will. You'll have the opportunity to win games. That's the thing. And that's what I loved so much about Stock looking back on it. That's what he harped on. Mm-hmm. Don't turn the ball over. Don't have dumb penalties. And you're going to be, at the end of the game, you're going to have a chance to win it.
Well, and, for as much as people dislike Stock, how many Power 4 wins did that guy rattle off? Uh-huh. While we were there, we won a few of them.
Yep, sure did.
So, anyway, tonight, Friday night, Conference USA showdown. Jack State, 16-point favorites at Kennesaw State. Now, interesting. I saw somebody in the chat, Jabari Jones said, do you think Kennesaw needs a new coach? Look, too early. You look at what Jack State did last year. It was a bit of a one-off. Now they're kind of back to the mean this year, not looking very, very good. And then you look at what Sam Houston did last year, where they lost every damn game, but they were in every game. And here we are this year, and they look like a conference contender. So can Kennesaw be a conference contender next year? I don't know. But they're not really getting really blown. They're not getting really blown out. They just can't score enough points right now. That's what's holding them back. I think that's going to be the case tonight too. They just can't consistently put together drives. But again, I think they'll figure that out. Kennesaw, you're right outside of Atlanta, right? You're going to have plenty of opportunity of guys wanting to transfer and come back home. So I think they got a chance to build a good roster. I think it's just too early to tell on the coach.
I agree on that sentiment. And I'd have to look into this further, but I feel like I read that a lot of their players are shirting this year. Remember how Sam Houston did that?
I think they shirted last year.
Was it last year? I still feel like they had guys that were shirted because they're not bowl eligible, right? Am I correct on this? I could be wrong. I'll have to look that up and get back to it. But yeah, I think it's too early on the coach. I mean, you saw, Sam Houston a year ago only have a couple wins, and then now look at what they're doing. So you just got to give them time. You make that jump, resource wise, player wise, recruiting. It's going to take a year or two for that jump to really take effect and for you to take advantage of it. And since Jacksonville State has put Tyler Huff at quarterback, they've played a lot better. Now he does have 4 interceptions. He's got to clean that up. But I think overall, those offense, especially the pass game, is moving a lot better than it did under Zion and Smothers.
Yeah, and I stand extremely corrected on my quarterback at Jack State take that I had in this preseason. So my apologies for destroying our credibility on quarterback play. That's why I let you talk about quarterbacks, Jeff. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, other than the fact that some of these guys need to run the ball a little bit more. I don't know what I'm talking about with quarterbacks, but yeah, I think Jack State gets it done tonight. And not necessarily a cakewalk though.
No, we'll see. It'll be fun to watch these guys on the national stage and really get a good look at them. Jabari Jones in the chat says since they changed their offense 3 years ago, they've just been down. So,
well, they were running. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, Jabari. They were running a triple option style, I believe, weren't they?
They still have. No. I mean, they still have a lot of those components in this offense, but it's not. If he's saying they've changed it, then
yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to watch though.
Yeah.
Hopefully Kennesaw shows out. They have a kind of it's a really small, I think 12 or 13,000 seat stadium there in Kennesaw. But man, they keep piling all these college football teams in freaking Atlanta.
How many you got?
You got Georgia Tech, Georgia State, now Kennesaw State. You got Georgia right up the road, Georgia Southern on the other side.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know. And then you got your, West Georgia, LaGrange College, Mercer. I mean, there's a lot of schools just kind of
Mercer
right there. Which, by the way, I do want to say something. We didn't really update the on the GoFundMe we've got going for Boone and stuff. I haven't checked the total number. I think we're
almost still about 85.
Yeah, $8,500 going to go to the folks of Boone. But the main reason I want to say is we were driving here on Wednesday night. We were on Interstate 16, pretty much goes from like Macon to Savannah, and man, even there, the trees just on the highway, every tree was laying on the side of the road, and you could just tell, like, man, we're not even that close to where the worst of it happened, And I know a lot of people, folks in Statesboro, still without power. The people we're here with at the beach with, they don't have power. They live in up kind of near like Spartanburg, South Carolina. So yeah, you heard that right, Jeff. We split the bill on this. Okay. Yeah. Big money over here did not foot the whole bill. But yeah, just damages everywhere, man. A lot of people still without power. But those people in the Carolinas are going through it for sure. So
yeah, and our thoughts and prayers go out to them. And I had a couple phone calls yesterday with a couple of organizations. Just wanting to make sure that the money that you guys so graciously donated goes to the people and communities of Boone and not getting siphoned off by our fantastic federal government. So got some reassurances yesterday and should hopefully, I think, probably going to cut that off pretty soon here and close it out and get that money out so it can do some good. So thank you guys. We got the best fans and listeners in the world.
Yeah, no doubt.
And couldn't have raised that money without you guys. And it's going to really, really do some good. I believe that.
Yeah, ain't no doubt about it. Well, Jeff, tonight we got another chance. The world has another chance to watch the Rebels of UNLV. Can they go 3-0 against the Power Four? Syracuse going to Vegas, UNLV 6.5-point favorites here, which I like, but I don't like. And I was telling you before the show today, like, I think UNLV, the more I get a chance to watch them defensively, especially, I think it's really good. I think this is not a chance of they're just catching fire at the right time. I think they're actually really good. I think, when 2 years ago in the offseason, when we were talking about UNLV, we knew their offense was already good and they hired Barry Odom. And I remember saying, Barry Odom's a defensive guy. Look out for that defense to improve. And then the defense last year didn't really improve much, because remember, we had him on the show and he was like, yeah, it didn't really work. Me being a defensive guy. But I think it's finally clicking. You get a couple transfers on the defensive side of the ball. It seemed like last week they were playing so free and just so like, I don't think I've ever been like this in football, not past high school anyway, or not past like pee-wee ball, like where you don't even have to think about it. You're just playing so relaxed, and that's what they look like. That's what Malik Williams looked like in his first game. But man, I like this UNLV team a lot. Really excited. I hope Jeff, they put your Raiders to shame.
I hope they do too.
By the way, what is your coach doing when he was? We knew that, didn't we? Hear that story kind of off record a little bit about a year ago. Yeah,
we sure did.
Yeah, we'll have to talk. I can't remember who told us about it.
I know who told us about it. I'm not divulging any names. Yeah, I can't wait for this game tonight. And I went back and watched Syracuse against Stanford. That's Syracuse's only loss. Kyle McCord, transfer from Ohio State quarterback, is now at Syracuse. Not a super mobile guy. They rolled him out a couple times. He throws a good ball. If he has time, he'll be able to get through his reads and decipher it. I want to see this UNLV defense come out like they did a week ago with their hair on fire, fly around, get pressure on him. If they do that, he'll throw some errant throws, and you might get another Catalan pick and get some turnovers. I think this 3-1 record, don't necessarily look at that. I think that UNLV is the more complete team. I think they're the better team. I think they're more athletic. They just got to come out and do it. That's what it comes down to. Excited to see Malik again. See if he can put 2 weeks together, 2 great performances back to back. UNLV to me, they're white. Now I had Sluka as my player of the year in the Mountain West, but still, it wasn't just because of him is why I picked them to win the conference. I think when you have that combination of Jackson Woodard as a leader, you got Ricky White on the outside, DeJesus, all these pieces. It just takes a coach to bring it all together, and then you have his philosophy, and this is what you're getting. You're getting a great team that seems to be well coached, athletic, and they're taking down these Power 4 teams left and right. And I think they, the line's at 6.5. I think they cover that with ease. I think UNLV's at home. I think they're fired up, and I truly believe the Sluka, NIL, all that stuff. They put it to bed last week. I think it's galvanized this team. I do.
So too. I think it has too. And that's what I had in my notes too, Jeff, is Kyle McCord. He's thrown some picks now. And they're going to throw it freaking 50 times.
Mm-hmm.
Syracuse is going to try to throw it all over the place. So you brought up Catalan, these UNLV defensive backs. I look for that. Another big pick or two, I think, is what they have to do to get this game going. And then I echo your statement too on Malik, right? Are we ready to call him? What are we calling him? HMW? Does he have a nickname yet?
I don't know. I haven't seen any nicknames yet on him.
We gotta get a nickname for Malik Williams. But yeah, a small part of me, I know he's played a lot of ball when he was at Campbell, so it's not like he's a freshman that did what he did last week. But a little bit of me thinks, last week was like one of those just perfect storm, right? Like, here's my opportunity. Everybody's hype. I'm gonna ball. Will he regress this week? And I hope not. That's my only concern. And I don't think he will. But that is my concern. I would be watching out for something like that. Now Syracuse, they got a week of tape on him. There's things like that. But yeah, I like UNLV too. I don't necessarily think as quite as big as maybe you're thinking. But I do think they can cover that. I just think they're really, really freaking good. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but man, that Boise State UNLV game in a couple weeks is going to be, I mean, just
Massive.
heavyweight. We got to get, I think that's a Friday night game.
Yeah, it is.
What can Fox do to get Gus Johnson down to Las Vegas for that ball game?
No, he doesn't do Friday night games.
He needs to do it. He might do it in Vegas. He seems like a guy that might enjoy its time in Las Vegas, Nevada.
I agree with you.
But can he do a nightcap in Vegas and then get up and do the noon game somewhere else?
Might be tough on him. Last thing I'll say on Malik is this style of offense where you run, they have a lot of triple option principles, especially in the run game. I think that favors a quarterback because for me, what it did is when we would run zone read or we'd run speed option, we didn't do a lot of triple option in the middle, but we'd get quarterback in the run game. It almost like gets you snapped into the game quicker. I always like to have a run early in the game and get that first kind of hit out of the way because it made the butterflies go away. And then it's like, all right, I'm good. Let's rock and roll. And I think just the way that Marion calls his offense and runs it, it's just a lot for defenses to think about. And it's this hybrid kind of, he calls it the go-go offense, but it's got a lot of triple option in it, which makes the defense have to think more. It's one of the reasons why playing an academy school who runs a triple option, you have to spend so much time on it. So you have all these different elements, these motions, and all it takes is for a defense to have to commit an extra guy to the pitch man or to the run, and then all of a sudden they're making it look like triple option and he's dropping back and you got one-on-one coverage with Ricky White or DeJesus. I mean, it's hard to defend.
It sure is. Well, speaking of academies, speaking of triple options, we got the first one happening on Saturday, Navy at Air Force. Can I take a moment to explain how historically bad Air Force is right now?
Do it.
The Air Force Falcons are currently number 6 in the Mountain West Conference in rushing yards per game. The last time, to put that in perspective, they were number 2 in the country last year, number 1 in the country the year before that. It has been since 2014 was the last time that they weren't top 5 in the country. Remember, they're number 6 in the Mountain West right now. It's been since 2014 since they weren't top 5, and I think in 2014 they were like 8 or 9. I could not go back enough years. I got all the way to 2004, and they were still in the top 10 in the country in rushing. And this year they are not even in the top 5 in the Mountain West Conference. That's how 176 yards per game rushing, and we know they only throw it 5 or 6 times. So I mean, this is a historically down year for the Air Force offense. Navy, on the other hand, has their guy at quarterback in Blake Horvath, who is having himself a Hall of Fame worthy year. Now, I say all that to say that's the perfect recipe for Air Force to go win this freaking game because this is what happens. This is, you look at last year, right? Air Force number 1 in the country, running the ball 8-0, and then they go play Army and just lay a complete egg. But man, I don't think that's the case. I think none of this has been fluky for either team. I think Air Force is bad. I think Navy's very good. Navy's 9.5-point favorites. Now, you do know these kind of games could be closer just due to lack of possessions on either side. But either way, I think Navy's going to cover. I think this is a 14 or 17-point win for Navy. And I hate it. We need to get old Jason Kahns back on here to try to figure out what the hell's going on in Colorado Springs right now.
He might need to go and give the team a pep talk because they're rough. And this happens. It happens. Mm-hmm. You have so many years on top and have good seasons. You're bound to have a down one. It's just not a good recipe when your offense is only scoring 12.5 points per game. And then your defense is giving up, 21 points per game. You're not going to win a lot of games with that type of discrepancy. And Navy's a good team. You already talked about them. You'll get the hype of the academies playing each other. I just don't think that Navy's not going to get slowed down. They're going to score.
We got to get, they do for these weeks, Army week, Air Force, Navy week, like they get the whole cadet wing like behind it. Your student body or your cadets or whatever at these schools. From my experience, typically they're not huge fans of the academy football. They're not. It's a little animosity that happens. Okay. But these weeks, they really get into it, doing like pep rally type stuff. They do these like spirit videos. They're pretty damn funny a lot of times. We got to see if we can get some of those, or we could play them on here. I'll do some digging, see if I can get some of those spirit videos to play. They're pretty funny, like little pranks and stuff like that. But they really get into this stuff this week. And then the pregame for these games is awesome. They do like the prisoner exchange. They both march onto the field. It's pretty damn cool. And then, fortunately, they get flyovers at every game because it's quite easy to do at that point. But they do it. They usually do it big. They'll do, if it's at Air Force versus Navy. I mean, they may do Thunderbirds or something like that, or something cool. To really say we have the coolest planes at Air Force, and then Navy's going to say, wait, we have the cooler planes at Navy. And then Army's going to fly a damn Black Hawk over the thing. It'd be pretty badass too. But yeah, give me Navy there. Miami at Toledo in the MAC. This was such a good game last year. We went to this game last year in Oxford. And it's going to be a little bit of the same story, in my opinion. I think last year it happened. Gabbert got hurt. And then offensively, they were just horrible without him. They've been pretty bad even with him this year. So I just think we're going to have a little bit of that same situation where Miami just can't score. I think it's going to be a really good defensive battle, but I think Toledo, Toledo's a little bit more talented, especially on offense. I think they'll get it done.
I agree. Toledo's scoring 37 points a game, and I know Miami's defense is good. It's only allowing, like 21, 22 points a game. But the problem is Miami can't score. So, they're averaging 12 points a game on offense. Let's just say they happen to, if we're playing law of averages here, and I know it's football and you can't do that, but it is what it is. Let's just say Miami happens to score 3 touchdowns. That's 21 points. Their defense is still giving up a little bit more, and I don't think it's going to be enough to shut Toledo down completely. I think Toledo's more talented. I think Miami's got problems on offense. They just got to get it figured out. If they could have done that, they could have had a really special year.
Yeah. Can we put to bed the whole notion that defense wins championships at this point, Jeff?
Yeah, he's got to have some type of offense.
Score points.
I mean, at least a little bit.
I think in the way football is now, I think you have a better chance to outscore somebody than you do when you can't score at all, and you got to hope your defense holds them to nothing.
Yeah.
App State at Marshall. This is always a good game. Marshall's 3-point favorites. I mean, I think this game comes down to which team can run the ball. To me, I think outside of everything going on, I think Marshall's the better team this year. I think they're a little bit better on both fronts, offensive and defensive line. And man, on top of that, I think it's going to be difficult for App to get going. We'll see. It could go the other way. But I think they got so much going on. Their schedules are all messed up. They're out of any kind of rhythm. They didn't play last week. They're probably thinking about everything but football for a lot of the time. So I like Marshall. I liked Marshall this preseason. But unfortunately for App State, I think it might be tough for them.
Excited about this game. Want to see how both teams come out and play. I think this is a huge game in the East. As down as App has been and not look like themselves, they still have a shot, right? They got JMU at the end of the season. They got everything they want in front of them, but they got to have this one. And with tragedy and everything that happened with the hurricane, I think they rally around that. I think they get up for this game. I think they want to represent their community, their school, and I think they come out on fire, man. I do.
And do you think they get this win?
I think they get the win. I think they get the
Really?
win, and they do it for the people of Boone, North Carolina.
You know, it's one of those scenarios where emotionally and for the story of it, you know, you're thinking like, okay, it'd be pretty cool if App State went on a run right here. But then on the other hand, I'm like, well, I like Marshall, so they need to nip that in the bud, you know.
It starts Saturday. This is a big game, big conference matchup.
Yeah, it really is. And this is always a freaking awesome game. Awesome game. This is one of the best rivalries that they sort of brought back by bringing Marshall back to the Sun Belt. Staying in the Sun Belt, James Madison, 16-point favorites against ULM. ULM, they only lost to Texas. That's it. But they're going to try to run the ball. They're not going to try to throw it a whole lot. JMU defensively is a lot better than I thought they were going to be coming into this season, just based on guys they lost. I don't think Monroe's going to be able to run the ball. I think Alonzo Barnett is playing at such a high level right now. Let me ask you this question, Jeff. Just without looking at stats or anything, top of your head, Jordan McLeod or Alonzo Barnett? Who'd you rather have?
I'm going to go with Jordan McLeod solely based off of he has such a larger sample size to go off of, but they're very similar players. You know, I think Barnett's done a great job the last couple weeks of running that offense, being efficient, making big plays. Excited to see this James Madison offense against a second. Come on now, Sprouse. Second ranked defense in the Sun Belt in the Warhawks. So this is going to be a good matchup to watch. I think James Madison is a great team. I think they look like the favorite in the East right now. But conference kicks off. You know, they've played Ball State. They look, Ball State's kind of rough sledding. They had the great performance, against North Carolina, but did give up 50 in that game. I'm not sure Monroe's offense can put up those type of numbers, but just excited for the matchup. I think it's going to be a great game Saturday. I think James Madison gets the W though. Shout out Brian Vincent. He's done a good job there.
Yeah, in contrary to the place that he was at before. Let's go into some of these other games. In the American, Army at Tulsa. I think Army remains undefeated. I think again they're playing at such a high level right now. Tulane at UAB. Tulane finally looked like the Tulane we thought last week. And I think they're going to do that again. And man, at UAB, they may have to just keep Trent Dilfer away from a microphone.
I agree.
I mean, he had a comment on a podcast the other day where he was talking about volleyball, and I believe his daughter plays volleyball at Louisville. So I think it's a little bit out of context, because I think he was praising where his daughter goes versus.
Yeah.
But then the podcast, he said, Trent Dilfer said something to the point of like, if you want to play high level volleyball, go to Louisville. Like, it's awesome. And then the host was like, or UAB. And then Trent Dilfer just like started laughing. It's like, yeah, well, we're pulling from different buckets, which again, same thing as last week. They probably are. But when the face of your athletic program is saying stuff like that, like, you're not helping the cause.
Yeah.
And especially coming off of what he just said last week and he got crushed for. I mean,
and he's probably just being honest and he's being candid, which I can appreciate to a certain extent. But you got to understand the situation and understand that you're not winning and you're not looking very good on the field either. And you got Tulane rolling into town, 16.5-point favorites. So there is a chance the wife, myself, and the kids will be at Protective Stadium this weekend. We're going to make kind of a shotgun decision tomorrow, or tonight, I should say. Wife and son going to the first concert at the Ryman. So they'll be out Yeah,
Really?
a little bit late tonight. Yeah, Dom loves music, and
I was going to say Dom going, huh?
yeah, Dom loves music, and I bought her the tickets for us, and then she's like, "Well,
So
no, this
Jeff,
is
you
cool."
stay home.
Honestly, I was like, you know what? If this is something you want to do with your firstborn, like I get it.
Yeah, that's
She
good
loves
stuff.
music and she's into that, and they both kind of have this bond over it. So they're going to the Ryman. Should have a good time. So we're going to kind of make a decision here a little bit later. But if you are at Protective Stadium and I end up going, I'll tweet it out and would love to be. I know Morgan said he's going to be there. But yeah, I think Tulane rolls. Wave
Yeah,
rolls.
and Joe said, "Do you think Trent is trying to poke at the donors and the admin like for more support?" That's kind of what I said on Wednesday. That's the other side of this. Like, is he trying to say like, "Look, guys, like we're
Yeah.
not them because we don't have this." But man, UAB they really invested a bunch in the facilities recently. That stadium, obviously. By the way, Jeff, if you guys do go, there's that's a great stadium for like a bowl game or like because there's so much to do literally right at the stadium. Like there's a little Mexican cantina, a little rooftop cantina,
Yeah, I might have to go check that out.
good taco spot, a couple little restaurants and bars just right there on the little walk to the stadium. And then there's hotels right there. It's like they created that whole little, I don't know, town
Yeah.
just for that stuff, but really cool place. Temple at UConn, man, UConn is an animal at home. They're scoring a lot of points at home. They're 17-point favorites. Give me UConn. Give me the Huskies there. And then big game ECU at Charlotte. Sellout. Standing room only from what I've gathered. All that to say, I think ECU is going to roll. ECU is been winning, although ugly. They've been winning. If Jake Garcia, if he can limit it to like one interception, I think they win pretty handily because they're pretty good, but he just turns it over a bunch. But I like ECU on the road here.
Yeah, Poggi did say that Max Brown is like a game time decision. So interested to see there. But ECU's defense has been really, really good. And that's why I think they've been in games and been able to get these wins. Charlotte hadn't showed much on offense. I think ECU comes in there and it's a very low scoring affair for Charlotte's sake. And ECU gets the win.
Yep. Going over to the MAC, which, by the way, MAC and Conference USA, you're noticing a lot less games this week because it begins next week. It begins Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to have midweek ball. This is the time of year when it just becomes incredible. I mean, it's just football 7 days a week. What is it? 55 straight days of football.
Yep.
Starting.
That's what it is.
Starting last night. Started. We going to the MAC. UMass at NIU. I'm gonna tell you, I don't know quite about this 17-point line here. I think NIU wins, and I think they win pretty handily. But 17 is a lot of points.
Yes, it is.
But NIU, they'll roll. I think they'll run the ball, play good defense. Western Michigan at Ball State. You're waiting for Western Michigan to get a big win. They'll win this game, but I'm waiting for them to beat one of the MAC juggernauts. But give me Western Michigan here, and then Bowling Green at Akron. Same thing for Bowling Green as Western Michigan. They played the two. They played Penn State and Texas A&M tight. Waiting for them to pull off the win in one of those games. But they'll roll against Akron, I believe. Going over to the Mountain West, Colorado State at Oregon State. Unfortunately for Colorado State, I don't know, man. I'm just not a believer. I'm not a believer. I got a bad taste in my mouth from the Colorado game. They're just too inconsistent for me. Both offensively and defensively, but especially offensively, too inconsistent. BFN's too inconsistent. They haven't been able to get Torrey Horton really going. So I think it's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, and I hate it for, Colorado State. I think they have some really good pieces. And you get Torrey Horton to stay, and you get BFN to stay, and you're only putting up 18 points a game. You got to score. Got to score points. I know the defense has been inconsistent, but at least offensively, you got to be able to figure out how to put the ball in the end zone, and you got the talent to do it.
Yeah. Boise State's hosting Utah State. I can't get enough of Ashton Genty, and he has put the world on notice. I was listening to XM radio. I was listening to Jim Nagy talk about him. And actually this was pretty cool. They asked him about, all the players in the group of five. And he first brought up Toledo, Darius Alexander, the defensive tackle, and then Maxon Hook, the safety at Toledo. And then the guy asked him about Ashton Genty. And, you could tell Jim Nagy was like, well, yeah, like I'm trying to give you underrated guys.
Yeah.
And Jim Nagy was like, he said, he's like, I want to be careful. Like, I'm not saying he's this guy. He's like, but he's a lot like LaDainian Tomlinson was, like, because he's so good out of the backfield too. Like in the pass game, he's like, he played slot receiver in high school. So
he's a 3-down back.
He can adjust and catch the ball over his shoulder, catch a ball thrown behind him, block. And his lateral, like his footwork and balance is what's most impressive to me. But we're going to see another 200-yard game out of him. This guy's got 1,000 yards in 4 games, Jeff. He's leading. He's leading like team rushing stats by himself.
I think there's like 90-something school. He has more rushing yards than 90-something programs in the country.
I got to look this up, because I talked about Air Force and how bad they are. I think he might be single-handedly beat. How many yards per game is he averaging right now?
I think it's like 200. Give me a second.
He's averaging more yards per game on the ground than a triple option Air Force Falcon team. Jeff.
Wow.
This is ridiculous. But anyway, yeah, Boise State big. Now there's been some question.
He's averaging like 212, 213 a game.
Bro.
It's like a refrigerator running a 4.6, 4.7. Like that's like moving, like big, strong, stout, just running.
Now there has been some talk on the socials about Madsen not being able to get it done. They don't think Madsen is the guy for the big game. But I mean, you can't do it now, guys.
No, absolutely not.
And here's the other thing: whether Madsen played really well or not. Look, he took Oregon, who's going to be more than likely going to be a playoff team. You should have beat Oregon, and you probably would have beat Oregon had you given the ball to Genty 2 more times instead of going to your quarterback. So,
well, that's what I was going to say. Don't get cute. Don't worry. Don't lose the game. Don't make a problem where there's not. Just turn around and hand the damn ball to Genty and let him go.
The thing about it is, or give it to the other guy. That Sire Gaines kid's like 17 years old. He can run it too.
He can. He got banged up. I wonder if he's getting back healthy or not.
Yeah, Boise rolled Nevada at San Jose State. San Jose State -7. Nevada's been better. They looked better earlier in the season, I think. But San Jose State, they're sneaky. They're the team in the Mountain West that can screw up the UNLVs and Boise States of the world. So
they got them back to back here in a couple of weeks.
So look out for them. But I think they cover that 7 points quite easily.
I do too. I'm going to have them in my parlay. Emmett, Doc Brown, Back to the Future. Nick Nash is his number 1 receiver, one of the best receivers in the country. Can't wait to watch this game.
Yep. And then Hawaii at San Diego State. It's kind of a pick 'em. I like San Diego State here. I like San Diego State in the future. I like what they're building there, and I like the coach. I think they got a chance to be pretty good. Hawaii's better. They've been playing okay, but it's just tough. It's tough for the Rainbow Warriors out there, Jeff.
Anytime they're on the road.
Yeah. Couple Sunbelt games. ODU at Coastal. God, dude, it feels like Coastal hasn't played it in like a month. Was their last game a Thursday night?
Yeah,
they have like a Thursday night and then a bye.
Yeah.
That's a long time. So interested to see how they respond to that. 5-point favorites at home. I think they'll get it done. I like this Coastal team. I like that they're flying under the radar here.
Vasco's got to step up to me. He's got to have a game where he just dominates against a good opponent. And I think ODU's a pretty good opponent. Lost some
especially
close
defensively.
ones. Yeah, lost some close ones. It's going to be a physical game. Want him to show up and be the guy.
Yeah. And when the tide turned for Coastal, Jeff? It was when Tim Beck took that picture on the beach with the dance team and everybody got all worked up about that. I cannot believe we never really talked about that. I cannot believe that they took that down. I mean, is that not where we are today?
I mean, it is 2024, my friend.
Yeah. Tyler, you're probably right. ODU, they lose all their games close. It don't matter who they're playing. We got to look at what's their record against the spread, because they literally lose every game by like 3, no matter what.
Well, I bet they would cut. That probably means if it's that close, it means they're covering.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if they're actually that close or if it's one of those things where it just feels like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. South Alabama at Arkansas State. I know you like a home dog. I got South Alabama big here. I think they're really good.
Yeah, they like last year. They're kind of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Want to see them, South Alabama, Gio Lopez, come out and dominate Arkansas State. They should. The Vegas threes kind of throwing me off a little bit because I thought South would be favored a little more heavy in this game. But yeah, give me South.
Yeah, I like South a lot. And then Louisiana at Southern Miss. Louisiana is going to win this game. I think it's going to be a little closer than 16.5. I think you might see a bit of a kind of layoff for Louisiana after last week's game, just kind of, emotional and all that stuff. So, but 16.5 is a lot of points. I still think they can win this game by 2 touchdowns. Ben Wooldridge is going to play well. Southern Miss, they're a mess.
Yeah, I think Louisiana rolls. I think they continue fighting Terry Johnson's. They continue to play well, and they got a big win last week. They keep it going. Now,
will Terry Johnson be running around the neighborhood with a flag on again?
Probably not after a Southern Miss win, but yeah, they look good.
Yeah,
Cajuns are a team in the West.
Now, Jeff, do we have voicemails?
We have 2.
We have 2 voicemails. Guys, keep calling this hotline again. Saturday, we're getting into conference play. So let's start hearing the trash talk, okay? Let's start hearing these Sunbelt Louisiana calls, the App State calls. We got to get some Marshall calls in here. I've been on the Marshall train this year, so I need some support from somebody from Marshall. Call the hotline, 615-900-4286. Leave your hottest take, leave your trash talk, all that. Jeff, let's hear what we got.
Hey, Group of 5 guys. It's Coach Caesar, everyone's favorite assistant cheer coach here at the University of Texas at El Paso. Well, I can't lie, it's been a rough year so far. I mean, nobody expected us to beat Nebraska or Liberty or Colorado State, but it was tough that loss to Southern Utah, even after all the trash talk. So 0-4 is not what everybody was hoping for. I think when Coach Walden started up, a lot of people jumped in like suddenly we were just going to turn into some kind of powerhouse, when really a lot of us knew it wasn't going to be that easy right away. There's going to be some growing pains, a lot of transitions. So here we are. I'm actually getting ready right now to head out to the game against Sam Houston State here in the Sun Bowl. Well, I mean, I don't know what a Bearcat is, but great. I mean, we'll check out this game. I'm hoping for a win, man. Staying positive. Working at it. I'll tell you what, though, there's a lot of excitement here about going to the Mountain West, and I can't argue with that. Playing against UNM and Wyoming and Hawaii again, these are the teams that I grew up with and when I was in college. So it's going to be exciting. We're looking forward to it, man. Geographically, it makes a lot of sense. So not leaving the Group of 5, just not going to be part of Conference USA anymore. Hoping for a win. I'll be hearing you in the next show. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you, Caesar. And while Sprouse is readjusting his laptop so you can see the sunrise, yeah, I think the move makes a whole lot of sense for UTEP. Out of all the schools that are jumping around doing this conference realignment stuff, they make the most sense making the move. I like it. Scotty Walden's doing a good job building something. Just give him some time. Give him the resources. Stay fired up. Sprouse, I don't know if we can hear you. Nope. Can't hear you. Let me see. I don't know if you got something muted out there on the balcony or you're muted. There
I'm
you
here
go.
now.
There you go.
Now look, we got a lot of clouds. I don't know if we're getting a sunrise today, Jeff.
Oh, looks good. You got the palm trees in the back.
You got the palm trees. We got the pool right there. We got the weird part is like that ain't no beach, buddy. That is like treacherous.
On the side of the ocean, you got rocks.
Yeah, you got the rocks there, but then way over there, I don't know if you can see it. You got the beach, so it's a golf cart community. So you got to take the golf cart over and get to the beach. But I just wanted to show you guys my stay here. But I do agree. I think UTEP. I do think it, like we said earlier, makes the most sense.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Caesar, calling in. We look forward to hearing from you again. Get to our last voicemail of the day.
Hey, fellas, Morgan here. It's late, but want to get this voicemail in before the end of the week. First, just want to say my thoughts are out to everyone affected by the hurricane and ongoing recovery efforts. Just a unimaginable tragedy, and I hope everyone's starting to slowly recover. And it's going to take a while, but again, thoughts are with everyone affected. Just wanted to say, man, last week, that was probably the most stress-free game I can remember watching. Unfortunately, I didn't get down to seeing it in person, but it's really nice to see this team coming together week by week. Mitchell looking better, Mario finding the end zone, Mekhi Hughes doing his thing. It's a really well-balanced team, and I think that's kind of been the hallmark so far. We've shot ourselves in the foot a couple of times, but each week we're building on past successes, and can't wait to see what happens this weekend. I'm driving down to Birmingham, going to tailgate with the gang, so looking forward to it. I know we filled out our visitor team allotment, which is great to see. So can't wait to see what happens. All right, fellas, great work as always, and I'll try to catch the show in the morning if I wake up in time. All righty, have a good one. Bye.
Appreciate you, Morgan. Yeah, I'll definitely reach out if we end up making the trip. Love to just say what's up. Meet you.
He brought up them selling out their visitor allotment. We talked about earlier in the week the lack of fan support at a lot of places. Tulane, I was a little disappointed in Tulane's crowd showing last week. I know it was an early game, but you got like a top 20 program right now. And I don't mean your team is ranked top 20. I just mean when you list programs that have a chance to win stuff and have a chance to win championships, you're one of them. So, I like to see them selling out the away allotment. Hope to see their home crowd. When we went last year to that South Alabama game, that crowd was electric. We need that every week out of Tulane, and we need that every week out of all these schools, especially the ones that are competing. So,
more importantly, Sprouse, they are a top 5 ranked team in the Group of 5 Power Poll. So they should be selling out every home game.
By the way, Jeff, we did it. I meant to bring this up when we were talking about James Madison earlier. We did it. We posted a poll and did not get abused verbally.
Joe, we did it.
James Madison.
We did it, Joe.
We did it, Joe. Yeah. So what did we have them at? 4, right?
Yeah.
James
right
Madison,
behind
Tulane at 3, Boise at 2, UNLV at 1.
Talk about a hard bunch to please.
Outraged.
Yeah, I know, Boise. Come on, guys. They bludgeoned a very good Fresno State team.
Yeah.
And they're undefeated.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'll figure it out. If you're the number 1, you'll beat them in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Anyway.
Take us home.
That's all we got, boys and girls. Appreciate you guys listening and watching. This has been the Group of 5 guys. Make sure You follow us on all the social platforms at Group of Five Guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcasts. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a 5-star rating and a review. Most importantly, tell your family and friends all about us. We got big football games Friday night. We got big football games tomorrow all day long. Hope you guys enjoy this fantastic Friday and this fantastic weekend. We're out of here.